The Supreme Court just delivered a unanimous decision that could completely reshape the debate over gun rights and marijuana use in America. For years, the federal government has treated millions of Americans as prohibited persons simply because they used marijuana, even in states where it was completely legal under state law. But now the Supreme Court says that that's just not enough, and the implications of this ruling could be massive. Welcome back to the 2A Defense Network. If you are new here, make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we cover the latest Second Amendment news and legal battles happening all across the country. Today, we're talking about a Supreme Court decision that many legal experts are calling one of the most important gun rights rulings of the year. A ruling that says the government cannot automatically take away someone's Second Amendment rights simply because they use marijuana. So let's break down exactly what happened. For decades, federal law has prohibited what it calls unlawful users of controlled substances from possessing firearms. Since marijuana remains illegal under federal law, that means someone could be completely law-abiding under state law, legally purchase marijuana in their state, and still be considered prohibited from owning a firearm under federal law. Now think about that for just a second. In many states, a person could walk into a licensed dispensary, make a legal purchase under the state law, go home, and unknowingly place themselves at risk of violating federal gun laws. Now that conflict between state and federal law has created confusion for years, and eventually it has now landed at the Supreme Court. The case involved a challenge to the federal prohibition on firearms possession by marijuana users. The government argued that people who use controlled substances can be categorically disarmed. In other words, they argued that the mere status of being a marijuana user was enough to justify taking away a constitutional right. But the Supreme Court was just not convinced. In a unanimous decision, the court ruled that the government cannot simply point to marijuana use and automatically strip someone of their Second Amendment rights. Instead, the government must demonstrate why a specific restriction is justified. The court emphasized that constitutional rights cannot be removed based solely on broad assumptions about an entire group of people. That means the government can't simply place a label on someone and declare that their rights disappear. According to the court's reasoning, there must be stronger justification rather than just mere marijuana use. So this is why this matters. This is where things get really interesting. The ruling doesn't just affect one person. It potentially impacts millions of Americans living in states where marijuana has been legalized in some form. Now, for years, gun rights advocates have argued that these federal restrictions were punishing people based on status rather than their actual conduct. The court's decision appears to agree that constitutional rights require more than blanket assumptions, and that is a major shift. Now, before we go any further into this, it is important to understand what this ruling does not do. The Supreme Court did not suddenly legalize marijuana. The court did not declare that every marijuana user can automatically own firearms under every circumstance, and the court did not eliminate every restriction related to drug use and firearm possession. What the court said is that government cannot simply rely on marijuana use alone as an automatic reason to take away Second Amendment rights. There still may be circumstances where restrictions can be justified, but the government now faces a much higher burden. This decision is also part of a larger trend. Ever since the Supreme Court's landmark decision in New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Braun, courts have increasingly required the government to justify firearms restrictions using historical tradition. The message coming from the court has been very consistent. If the government wants to restrict a constitutional right, it has to do more than simply argue that doing so might be a good idea. It must show that the restriction fits within the nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation, and that standard is reshaping Second Amendment law across the entire country. Whether you support marijuana legalization or you oppose it, this case is ultimately about something so much bigger. It's about whether constitutional rights can be taken away based solely on a person's status rather than their actions. And the Supreme Court's answer appears to be clear. The government must do more than simply label someone as a marijuana user and call it a day. This ruling will likely spark years of additional litigation, and we're almost certainly going to see new legal challenges emerge as courts interpret what this decision means moving forward. But one thing is for certain, the Supreme Court has just delivered a major Second Amendment decision, and the effects could be felt for years to come. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe to the 2A Defense Network, and let me know down in the comments, do you think marijuana use should automatically disqualify someone from exercising their Second Amendment rights? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.